Hello, I'm Drew.
Hello, I'm Axel.
And today we are going to fix
the
our
surfboard.
surfboard. See this little hole right here? So that happened when we came back from New Zealand in the surfboard bag. Something in the surfboard bag banged it. This is from Shapers. It's the best surfboard repair kit you can get.
Right.
Inside this surfboard repair kit, we've got everything we need, including Q-cell to fill the hole. So let's open it up.
And you need to get this
Yep.
to open it up.
Pull it all the way around. Oh, they're really hard, yeah. Alright, we've got gloves. We've got a block for sanding. And then we've got all these different kinds of sandpapers. Some of them are really strong and some of them are really fine. Every kind of sandpaper you need. Wet and dry paper. So this is wet and dry paper that you put water on to wet and dry at the end. Cup for mixing, 2 cups for mixing. Mixing sticks, a paintbrush, a squeegee for getting the resin just right, and we got the resin there, that's inside as well, and glass, fiberglass, cloth, and this is the Q-cell powder. So we'll mix that with the resin, more sandpaper, and that's everything. So that's all the random stuff that you get. You get everything you need to fix a board. Lots of boards too, not just one. Keep you going for a long time. So this resin is actually UV active resin, so you don't actually need to mix in any hardener with it. You just put it in the sun and it will go hard.
Yeah, but why don't we have an mask
need that?
to put on?
That's an excellent question. Why don't we have a mask to put on? Axel's got his little Spider-Man mask on, we're ready to go, high five. With this thing, it's all been pushed in and all this fiberglass is in there. And you can't put Q-cell on top of that, it doesn't work. So we've got to cut all of this fiberglass out with this razor blade. So you don't have to be too careful with this, you just want to make a hole, get rid of all this fiberglass, because we're going to fill this hole up anyway. There we go, so now we've got no little bits of glass in there at all. And we're just going to sand around the edges with some sandpaper and get that ready, and then we'll just fill it up. So Axel's got his mask on, and we're not going to sand too much, because you just want to just give it a little bit of a sand, just make sure there's no jagged edges anywhere. And that looks pretty good. And now we're ready to fill up the hole with some Q-cell. Okay, so we just pop the lid off the resin. So we don't need very much for this, so just about that much should fill up this little hole. Alright, now we've got to be careful with this stuff. This is Q-cell, and you just want to put in enough to make it like a bit of a paste. It's almost all mixed up. We'll just get the last little bits of lumpy bits out. Make sure it's nice and there's no lumps in there, right Axel? Okay, that looks pretty good. And basically all you have to do is just pour it in where all the little deep spots are, and just make sure all the little holes are filled. This is just called the filler. And now we go surfing, we'll come back and this will be ready to sand and put the fiberglass on. You want to try not to sand any of the surfboard around it. You should make sure that you only get this stuff. And that like that, yeah. And that's it. So once it's almost finished, that's when you can bring your block in, because it's nice and flat, and you can just sand it nice and flat for a nice finish.
We're gonna put on the fiberglass thing now.
Alright, so we've got our gloves on, high five. Okay, so we'll just use this again. And we've sanded this down. Can you get a close shot of that? As flat as I can. You just try to get it as flat as you can without too many lips around the sides and stuff. We're not a professional, but we're just getting it pretty good. And now we get out of our little trusty Shapers kit, fiberglass. And we're going to need 2 layers of this fiberglass. You want to cut it. I've got some old scissors here. So you can cut it to the shape of the ding. So,
is that really fiberglass? It doesn't look like it.
It is, yeah. This is what fiberglass looks like. And we'll cut a little sort of circle the size of that ding. Like that, and we'll just round up that little edge there. And so that's that one. And then we're going to do a slightly bigger circle than that. There we go, so now we've got our 2 circles. We're not going to need very much for this, even less than last time, just enough just to, you kind of just wet the fiberglass and get it, because we're going to do another coat later, afterwards. So we'll just put a little bit in, just about that much, not much at all. We'll paint a little bit in here first, just to kind of get it wet and fill up any little tiny bubbly holes that are left in there. Do you want to just touch it with your glove finger and just go like this? Like pat it down everywhere, like. Yep. And then I'll just put a little bit on.
Yeah.
You don't want to put too much on, just get it nice and wet everywhere.
Yeah.
And then the next one. Do you want to grab it? Or you just do it with your finger again?
With another finger?
Yeah, just pat it down, stick it down. I'll just paint a little bit more just to get it nice and wet everywhere.
You could just not put it down with your fingers, just put it down like that.
You don't want too much resin for this, because once it goes hard, you just want to give it a little bit of a sand, not much, just to get the bumps off. And then we're going to put another coat of resin over the top once it's hard, and then we sand the other coat, the finishing coat, later. So that's it for now until the next stage. So what I've done is I've cleaned this brush already with a bit of cardboard, just scraped off all the excess, and then once you get that off, I've got some methylated spirits in here. I'm just going to put my brush in there, give it like a nice clean. And then that can just kind of sit in there until we're ready to do the finishing coat on this, because we're going to paint some more on. So when we're ready to do that, we'll take this out, we'll dry all the methylated spirits off, get the brush ready to go, and then we'll be good. Alright, so we're back, and the fiberglass has all gone hard. And there's some little bumpy bits on there, so we've got to sand all them down. What I do is I grab it like that with my thumb like that, and I go like that.
Okay. So like 3 fingers in here, go like that?
Yep, and then just round and round in circles. Yeah. Alright, so we'll just tip a little tiny bit into here, just to cover up this ding. That's it. Very good. Just get like, see how I'm just like getting the edges nice and smooth, so we don't have to sand as much. Alright, and we'll let that dry, and then we'll come back and we just do a little bit of a finishing sand, and it'll be ready.
So today's a new day?
Yeah, today's the next day, because we had to it's good if you let the resin go really hard before you sand it, so it's not too sticky or anything, so you don't want to rush it too much. Get some really hard, rough sandpaper. We'll just make sure that we get all the excess stuff. Right, so that with the rough sandpaper we got rid of all the bumps around the edges and made some nice smooth edges around it. But the surface is still a bit rough, so that's why you got to use wet and dry paper to get rid of all the little scratches. So see, they got different numbers on them. They got 240, 320, and 150. So the lower the number, the more rough the wet and dry paper is. And so you start with the rough one, and then you go up to the next one, and that's more fine. And then this is even more fine, and you get all the scratches out of it and make it nice and smooth. You dip that into this water. Reach down into the water. Yep. can do circles, whatever. You go to the next one. 240.
So dip it in here.
Yep. That's it. Very good. You can grab that one and dip it in and get it ready. See how it's getting easier to sand now because there's not as many scratches, it's a bit smoother. Alright, you're finished. All done.
Yes.
High five. All finished, nice and smooth. It feels pretty good, doesn't it? Have a feel. It's perfect. Bye bye. Thanks for watching.
That's a family.